So I've been playing this new gacha game, Wuthering Waves, for quite a while, and I wanted to give my overall thoughts on it. At this point, my union level is 32, my data bank is at 20, although I don't have all the full benefits since I'm not at the next world level. I've completed the story, and I'm quite a fan of both Genshin and open world games such as Breath of the Wild being one of my favorite games of all time, as a matter of fact. So I thought I'd be able to give a good first impressions for this new quote unquote Genshin killer. Which, by the way, just enjoy both games, people. As for the gameplay is very satisfying. The combat has a dodge mechanic to it, quite similar to Honkai Impact 3rd, as a matter of fact, although it doesn't have a cooldown. So it always feels really good when you dodge an enemy and just are able to counterattack them instantly. It's also really fun with this echo system. You kill monsters, and then you basically use those monsters as your equivalent of relics or artifacts if you play Genshin or Honkai Star Rail. But you can also slot in one at the very top, and then you can have that monster become a secondary ultimate attack. And it's very, very satisfying, and it leads to a fun gameplay loop between the three characters you'll be playing. When it comes to the soundtrack, I have to say, it is pretty good. It fits the mood. One of my favorite songs is actually one you hear in the forest area, and I literally just sat there and just listened to it for a bit because I'm just like, this is so soothing and relaxing. So it definitely gets high marks when it comes to the atmosphere it's trying to set. One of my favorite things, for sure, about this is being able to just hit the run button, and you don't have to hold it, and you just go. And not only that, you automatically run up cliffs, and it's so satisfying. It's just like, not to mention, if you run into something where it's just like you've got this little bump above you before you get to the next section above you, your character will hold onto the thing and then backflip or front flip, I'm not wise to these terms, in order to get up there and then just keep running. You just feel so good. I wish Link could run like this in Breath of the Wild. Just, when it comes to the exploration of the game, I do think it is not only the best I've ever played in any gacha game when it comes to the exploration and sheer mobility, but I would even go so far as to say that the mobility you have is the best I've felt in any major open world game. Now, that might be a bit of a hot take, but you know how I feel. Now, let's talk for a moment about the optimization issues, because that is a bit of a different story when it comes to Wuthering Waves. Let me put this lightly. If I didn't have a strong PC as is when the game first launched, I probably would not have been able to enjoy it as much. I can't even imagine how it is on mobile, and I haven't attempted to test it because the very idea of trying to play something like this on mobile scares me. It's just like, how would I be able to move nearly as well? I haven't run into too many issues other than the fact that, well, as of this current patch, the game takes forever to start up. But even before that current patch, it also took a it also takes a bit for the game to just load. Like when you first boot it up, it takes like a minute once you're in the world for it to just breathe, so to speak, and then everything runs fine. At least for me. I can't speak for people that have weaker systems than. Well, actually, no. I guess Lane has a weaker computer than mine, but though not by much. And Lane has had pretty good time. The one bug both of us ran into, and it's been corrected by now, but the soundtrack for the game would just completely stop at one point, and it made exploration very much not fun. But thankfully, they've patched it, so I now actually have a reason to continue this great game. Let's also take a minute to talk about how quick the daily system is. I've been playing the game for a week now, and when it comes to the dailies, I think you can get it done usually within 5 minutes. Now, it has something similar to Honkai Star Rail, where you don't have to do all the dailies required to get your full rewards. And thankfully, it doesn't have something like Genshin, where you have to go to this one place to complete your to get your daily commission rewards. No, there's not that. It does have another thing similar to Genshin, where it has one daily quest you can do a day where you go around the world, but from what I've seen, it's mostly just mob fights, and if you do have to talk to someone, it's like done like really quick. Though I did run into one daily which had me go around the map like 3 times. Wasn't a fan of that. Hopefully there's not more of that, but that's one time out of like 7 times I've played the game. How long has the game been out? Feels like a week. But regardless, I do think the daily system is good, because other than the daily mission you would go out of your wave for, you mostly will get it done without even realizing it most of the time. And the stuff that it says, like, oh, kill this one boss, or do a forgery challenge, you don't even have to spend your AP or resin equivalent for that. You can just beat it and then just leave. Very quick, and I like it. Now, let's talk about the story for a moment, because it gets good eventually. The start of the game gives way too much lore dump. Like, it's just like, when you first enter the world, you want to just, play the game, explore, just use all your abilities and such. But no, you've got to learn about how special you as a being are, which, that's a cliche. But also, they just throw so many new terms at you all at once, and it's just like, I've seen people say that, oh, it's not that bad. No, it is that bad. I almost stopped playing this game because of that. But I do want to inform you that it does get better once you leave the city, and especially in Act 3. Everything beyond Act 3, well, is it beyond Act 3, or is it saying from Act 3 and onwards? Yeah, that sounds about right. Act 3 and onwards actually gets interesting. You actually get a lot of dark implications of what's going on in the world. You get an interesting villain, and this tension just keeps building and building and building. And the final act, man, did they go out of their way to leave an impression on you. I would not say it's nearly as good as Bellabog's arc from like Honkai Star Rail if you've played it. Do I think it's better than Mondstadt's story? I would not entirely say that because, again, those first two acts where they're just throwing so much lore and new terms at you and not just giving you... That's the biggest problem with the story, is it does not give you a moment to catch your breath when it's throwing all this stuff at you. Kind of like how I'm doing this all in one recording because I'm crazy like that. But once it finally stops throwing all these lore terms at you and you can just explore and then go and do the story at your own pace, then the game really, really does open up and you end up enjoying it a lot more. Now, the story itself, again, it's hard to describe the first two acts because it's mainly just trying to get you familiar with the world, although again, throwing way too many terms at you. It's not handled like in, say, Genshin, where you're mainly just trying to stop a dragon from attacking the city as your main plot point. And slowly over the course of the story, they drop little tidbits of lore in a way that's digestible, not just front-loading you within the first mission. It's just like, oh, this means this, this means this, this means this. I got information overload, and I just tapped out of the story within those first two acts. But it does get better. It does get better. Now, the character design, when it comes to the characters, I would say is all around pretty good. The female character designs, like your main character, Rover, it's a bit generic, but she does look kind of cool. The other female characters, their designs are okay / good, although the upcoming 5-star electric support, she's got a design all right. And I'll definitely be pulling for her. But oddly enough, and I rarely ever say this, it's the male character designs that actually look far superior to the female designs. And it's weird to say that. Now, there are exceptions like Jin Shi and the electro support I mentioned, but gosh, I'm forgetting the name of the guy that the white-haired guy that you meet in like Act 5 and beyond, and he has that cute little girl next to him with pink hair. His design is absolutely fire. He looks like the protagonist of like... Actually, he reminds me a lot of Sven from Black Cat. And the general character, I think his name was Gion. The general character you see when it comes to near the end of the story, man, his design is fire. He looks very, very mature, and man, his ultimate attack animation looks so sick. Wish I could roll for him, but you know, I got my priorities for the Electro Mommy coming up. So overall, the character designs, they're good. They're very good. Now, let's talk for a moment about how generous the company is, because when it comes to Gacha, we all know how these banners and such work. Well, when you first start the game, you are given up to almost 50 wishes by the time you've completed Act 2, which is enough for you to do the beginner banner. The beginner banner is like Honkai Star Rails, where you are guaranteed one 5-star. You are guaranteed one 5-star, and it's complete random. But once you get the 5-star, that banner is gone, and then a new banner shows up, which you can choose which 5-star you want to get. Now, I myself did that for not Sephiroth. I mean, seriously, look up not Sephiroth's design for Wuthering Waves, and you will see. Yeah, he's basically Sephiroth. Even his Japanese voice actor is Sephiroth. And that you could get within 80 wishes, but I got mine early because I'm super lucky, I guess. So that's already 2 of the 5 standard 5-stars you can get right from the get-go. Now, Kuro Games is awesome for this, because as an apology for all the optimization issues, they are giving out a free 5-star standard character selector. And this lasts for about a year, and I won't lie, hearing that you could select your own 5-star, which means you can have 3 of the 5 standard 5-stars within the first 2 days of playing. And that's kind of nuts. So it really makes me feel good for how generous the company is. Although that may not be the case going by certain things going on when it comes to Kuro Games and refunding people for mistranslating something in Japanese. Maybe what I just said now will age poorly or not. I don't really know. But let's hope that they continue to have this generous reputation. Now then. Okay. Give me a sec. I'm recording this all in one go. Let's see. How do I think it compares to other open world games, like say Genshin or Breath of the Wild? If you couldn't tell, I don't play too many open worlds, but the ones I do play, boy, do I end up getting addicted to. Again, Breath of the Wild is one of my favorite games of all time. Oh wait, no, I already went over the exploration factor and how I think it's awesome. Oh yes, the ecos. Now, in Genshin or Honkai Star Rail, we're familiar with artifacts and relics. You basically kill some enemies, and then you might get lucky and get like a 3 or 4-star relic or artifact drop, and you just equip it onto your character, hoping you get good stats. Now, let me address the one problem with this when it comes to the game so far. Because you can farm these monsters infinitely, including the bosses, it is very easy, although time-consuming, to get the main substat you're looking for when it comes to your eco sets. You cannot say the same for the substats, though, because you have this limited substat unlock currency that you need to unlock the substats to begin with once they reach a high enough level. Now granted, at least it's not like Genshin where you get your mysterious 4th substat and then you roll, and you hope it goes into the substat you want. No. If you get a substat, that substat will no longer level up and it will just be stuck as that. And I also found out, apparently you can roll twice of like a crit damage or crit rate substat. Maybe I'm wrong on that, but I definitely do know that you can, for a echo that has a main piece of crit damage or crit rate, you can still roll crit damage or crit rate on the substat. So that's good. Now, what isn't good is leveling up the ecos. It's fine at first, but you will quickly realize that the reason those tacit discords exist out in the world is not for you just to farm ecos a little more conveniently. It's so you get the material you need to level up the ecos, because that's the fastest way to do it. Which, you know, I guess fair enough. I do the same in Genshin or Star Rail, where sometimes I just go to artifact or relic domains just so I can get relic EXP for my equipment. I lost my train of thought for a moment, I'm sorry. Did I mention that you can transform into the monster that you have at the very top? I think I did, and man, is it always so satisfying just to transform into this big giant monster that isn't related to like any energy, just has a really long cooldown. So it kind of feels like you have two ults. I'm pretty sure I said that already, but I'm keeping it in because, again, I'm doing this all in one take. I'm gonna need to drink some water after this. Oh yes! So there is something I thought was a simulated universe equivalent in this game. And then I actually did it, and I realized, no, it's actually way closer to the Elysian realm if you play Honkai Impact 3rd, where you go into this world, you get randomized buffs each run, and these buffs can either buff the monster you get equipped to, or it can just super buff your singular character and make them do things they normally can't out in the open world, such as your ultimate lasting for much longer, or it having these secondary effects. Again, it's like Elysian Realm, and it's so much fun to feel overpowered. I will definitely be having fun with that. Now let's talk about endgame for a moment, this tower place. From what I've heard, endgame requires you to have 3 teams, so it's going to take some time before you can reach it. But I have attempted the beginner section of the endgame, and boy do the bosses get pretty tanky, and it really does come down a lot more to a skill factor, I find, versus if you just have really high stat. I mean, no, I shouldn't say that, because you still have to beat the bosses and enemies really, really quickly. So you not only need to be able to dodge enemy attacks until we get like the equivalent of Zhongli in the game, but you also have to be able to take out the enemy super fast, like in the Spiral Abyss in, say, Genshin Impact. So I do think endgame is going to take a while. Oh, I forgot to mention the weapon banner. The weapon banner doesn't even have a 50-50 system like other gachas. It's just, if you're rolling on the weapon banner and you see a 5-star icon, you got it. Congratulations. I guess I should also mention that when it comes to the pity system for the gacha, it's similar to Genshin's 50-50, where if you lose the first 5-star roll and get a standard 5-star, your next one is guaranteed. And from what I've heard, the pity does carry over to the next banner, so that's good. But instead of it being 90 wishes for both the weapon and character banners, it's actually 80. So that's one thing it has over Genshin, is a better gacha system. And when it comes to gathering gacha currency, I do feel you can collect it easier compared to something like Genshin. I feel like they give you way more in the individual chests and quests you do. Again, I've just started the game, so, well, we've all just started the game. I mean, at this point, this is a full-blown review, not so much a first impressions video. Sorry about that. Took a quick drink of water because my throat needed it. Now, do I think this game is the quote-unquote Genshin killer? No, but I do think it's good competition for Hoyoverse to possibly take some inspiration from when it comes to Genshin Impact. Now, I wish that they could have the mobility that we currently have in Wuthering Waves, but who knows? Maybe the next nation will have something where we can scale up the mountains just by running on them. Or maybe they'll introduce a system where you don't have to waste stamina just by running. Maybe. It's wishful thinking, but otherwise, I don't think Genshin is... this game is not going to kill Genshin. I just think this game is a bit more hardcore focused compared to something like Genshin, which is a little more casual. They have different audiences, and as someone who's playing both games, I guess I should give a quick rundown of what I think Genshin does better and what I think Wuthering Waves does better. So let me just look at my notes here. I do think the gameplay for Wuthering Waves is more satisfying. It's not as colorful, I will admit, at least for now with the team I've been using. I do think the soundtrack for Genshin is also better. The optimization issues, Genshin definitely is better on that front, that's for sure. I don't remember Genshin having too many optimization issues when the game first launched, other than a few quirky glitches. I do think the daily system is vastly superior to that of Genshin when it comes to Wuthering Waves. Character design, I do have to say, overall, I do think Hoyoverse's character design is absolute fire when it comes to both their male and female character designs. And Wuthering Waves is just okay. So again, Genshin has it when it comes to character design. Now, story, I do think that that Act 3 and above for Wuthering Waves is better than Mondstadt's opening. But as a whole, when it comes to an easy experience to go through, I do think Genshin's opening act is better than Wuthering Waves' first act. If only because they don't lore dump you for like 30 minutes. I do think that... oh, well, this is a big one. Kuro Games is far more generous when it comes to Hoyoverse, when it comes to how generous they are with their 5 stars. I mean, the game just launched, and we have a 5-star standard character selector, something we've been asking in Genshin for how many years now? And they did it within the first few days. Yeah, that's definitely something that I hope Genshin takes some lessons from. Please reward your players better. Let's see. Going through my notes. Collecting ecos is definitely far more satisfying than collecting relics, because again, it basically leads to another transformation you can do. And I haven't used this myself, but I think there's even some monsters you can collect that help you collect other world materials that are on the ground and such. So that's a really good quality of life update. Now, I can't say which endgame is better, but I'm just going to assume that Wuthering Waves will feel more satisfying, because I feel like they're going to add way more than just this. And the reason I say that is because, well, their last game was Punishing Grey Raven, I think, and that game is hard as balls. And I imagine that has a lot of in-game content to it as well. So I think expect something like with Honkai Star Rail, where we're going to see a lot of end-game optimization. In-game optimization. Why did I say that? I meant to say expect we're going to have a lot of in-game content when it comes to what. Expect them to make a lot more end-game content than just what we have now. Gosh, I cannot speak at times. Oh, and another thing they infinitely do better. The weapon banner and gacha system overall is infinitely superior. Like, seriously, Genshin, why do you have to lose the 50-50 twice in order to guarantee getting a weapon on the weapon banner in Genshin? At least with Wuthering Waves, you get it instantly. If you win, there is no 50-50, oh my gosh. So overall, I do think from a, gosh, why is it so hard for me to speak? I do think that Genshin has more going for it in terms of like a better checklist of things it does better. But man, the thing that Wuthering Waves does great with the exploration and the how satisfying it feels to do ecos, that I feel it kind of balances out. Even though Genshin does a lot of things better, the generosity of Kuro Games, how great the exploration feels, and how good the combat feels when you dodge an attack and then just counter instantly. Man, it just feels so good. Just enjoy both games. If you like Genshin, you don't have to quit it for this. If you are curious to try Genshin, you can try it after trying out Wuthering Waves, or vice versa. Just enjoy both games. It's that simple. But yeah, I guess something I should add is if you have any problems when it comes to temptation of gambling, don't touch gacha games. But I really should have included that at the start, but I am Dawn, and that is what I do. I don't think these things ahead of time. But yeah, I think both games are great in their own right. But I will admit, I am definitely having an absolute blast with Wuthering Waves. Though, that's because I still have a lot of content to go through. And Genshin, well, I've been at endgame for Genshin for a long time now. So there's not as much excitement as there used to be. But maybe I'll feel the same way with Wuthering Waves once I've reached endgame and I feel as powerful as I can possibly be. Again, who knows? Like I said, enjoy both games. I do think that Wuthering Waves, for me personally, on a exploration and gameplay front, I do feel I'm going to have more fun compared to Genshin. But when it comes to the writing and characters and character design, I do think Genshin has it. I don't know how to end this video, but yeah, Wuthering Waves absolutely gets a very high recommendation from me. And I hope you guys liked this. How long has this been going on? 35-minute video of me talking non-stop without rest, other than that one time I took a drink. So yeah, if you want me to do more of these types of first impression... Is this a first impression or a review video? I don't know. I'll probably label it something like my thoughts on Wuthering Waves. So please make sure to like, comment, and subscribe, and check me out on twitch.tv/Empress_Dawn. The link to all of that is right below here. Again, why am I so bad at these outros? I really need to work on that. Please did I already say that? I'm not sure. Please make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. Consider becoming a member to financially support your Empress. And please tell me, what do you think of this video? What do you think of Wuthering Waves? Have you played any games from Kuro Games before? Maybe you know something I don't. There's probably so much I didn't talk about here, but again, I was doing this all in one recording. Give me a break. Thank you all so much for watching, and I will be seeing you all in the next video. Bye-bye!